Hi, I'm Reed Pettengill. I'm here at Durastill in Kansas City, Missouri. This is how you receive your distiller. It is in 2 boxes, and I'm going to show you how to unpackage it. It's in 2 boxes so it doesn't get damaged in any way. I've never seen one damaged yet. So when you order your distiller, it comes to your home. This is how it comes. Now, if you've ordered a 30H or a 30J or a 46C, they're all the same box. They're all the same dimensions, and this is all the only way they're packaged. We'll open the outside box and undo it. You raise it up and get this flap underneath. And you tip it up. When you get it to this position, you just lift the top box off, and you'll see that it's got another box underneath it, just like the top one, except it fits inside of it. You get that off and set that aside. And you'll see on the box arrows that say this side up. Well, that's good and fine while you're shipping it, but while you're undoing it, I always like to flip it so it says this side up is down, and I open the bottom. And I do that because it's so well taped inside there and suspended in that box that it's hard to get out from the top. But it's really easy to get out from the bottom, so I'll show you how you do that. You just do it exactly the same way as we did before. And you flip all the sides back down. You tip it like that, and then you tip it so it says this side up. And then you lift your lid off, and there's your distiller and all your parts right there. And that's the easiest way to get it out of the box. I know, I've done hundreds of them. This is the back side of the distiller. This foam protection comes on the distiller that they wrap it with. This is one of the most well packaged things you'll ever get in the mail. So what you do is you quickly take the foam off by cutting the tapes that hold it down to the packaging mount, and you just lift that up over the top, and you be careful you don't scratch it in any way with your razor knife. These wing nuts right here, you just undo those and all this foam comes off. If you just slide that like that and pull that out, and the lid's upside down on it, you take the lid out and put it over here, and then all the foam comes out. Now this is very important, this next step. You take this wing nut clear off right here. A lot of people forget about this. There's a piece of cardboard down in there holding the float from bouncing around during shipping. And that holds it. Now there's also a piece of cardboard in there underneath it, and you pull that out, or you may have a little fire when you turn your heating element on, or you'll have your boiling chamber full of wet paper. So you pull these 2 things out of the boiling chamber when you unpackage it. When you open it up and pull that off, you have a sample of Still Clean and your warranty and all your manual right there in a package. And you save that. Do not discard that. You'll be needing that. Now you'll notice on the back of this distiller is a plug, and this is an automatic distiller, so it has a water inlet tube, and that's right there. It's just like in the back of your refrigerator. It's an 1/8 inch OD line, and you plumb that into your water supply after your pre-filter. There's a package of legs that comes with this. There's also a lid knob. We'll open that up. You put your cross brace on top of your lid, and you screw your knob on top of that. Just like that. Very simple. You put your wing nut back on the top. You don't have to have the wing nuts clear off to put the lid on, because the lid goes down and it slides sideways and then back and locks. Give it a slight little turn on the lid So the lid turns just a little bit before you seal it down. Then you tighten it down, and your lid's got a tight seal on it, and it will have for the lifetime of your distiller if you do it that way at first. Now, if you're putting this on a tank, you are, because this one is an automatic. So if it's a 10-gallon tank, you don't put these legs on it. But if it's the 25-gallon tank, you put the legs on it, and they just screw onto these bolts on the bottom of your distiller. You can adjust the level with these legs so that it doesn't wobble. You just screw the leg on the bottom in a counterclockwise motion until it's just barely snug is all it takes. Just lift it up and tilt it back. Now you have your distiller out of the box with the legs on it. Okay, this kit comes in your distiller. It has 50 feet of plastic line to hook your water up. Has a saddle valve to clamp onto a pipe in your home somewhere. And it hooks onto this water inlet on the back side, and the fittings are provided in this bag to hook it all up. Also in line is this pre-filter. All the fittings are with that. It filters the water before it goes into the boiling chamber. So you put it somewhere in this line, wherever you want it, where it's easy to access. And this pre-filters your water. It takes the chlorine out and other things that a carbon filter can take out. Okay, there's also a post-filter kit, and you open it up and you pull out the post-filter, and this is where the post-filter goes, is in between the distiller and the tank. If there was a tank here, this little bracket sticks on top of the tank, and the post-filter sits in the bracket on top of the tank. This tube goes from the distiller to the filter, and these two elbows hook to the filter, and one goes into the tank and one goes onto the hose, and I'll show you how to put that together. If you take your distiller and gently turn it on its back so it can rest, it'll rest on the cord and the inlet, but this is where you hook your tube up. Now this is where a lot of people get stumped because they don't understand it at first because they've never seen a distiller. But this right here is where the distilled water comes out. So you put your tube hooked to that, and it's kind of a tricky thing to get on there because it fits tight, and you push it over the top of the stainless steel pipe. It takes a little effort to get on there, and you wiggle it around like around in a circle till it goes up on about a half an inch. Half an inch is fine. And then you slide your clamp over the top of your hose, and you tighten that up with a screwdriver right there so it doesn't come off. Okay, you'll notice on your filter there's some arrows that point the direction of the flow of the water. So we want to hook up the distiller to this side because that's the side the inlet is, and you just take a knife and pop the back off, and you pick up the elbow that's got barbs on it on this side. The other one hasn't got any barbs on the bottom of it. That's so it can fit inside the tank. Now these two nylon 90s, one's a hose barb on each end, but you'll notice one of them has the barbs clear out to the end. The other one has the first two hose barbs ground down and off. If you can see that, they're not there. It's important that you get the one that's smooth on the end on the exit side of the filter, because this end goes down in the tank. So just so you don't have to backtrack and undo it again, and this will save you time if you watch this and see how it goes in. But the smooth 90 goes to the outside where the out comes on the filter, the exit side of the filter. The first thing you do is screw the 90 into the filter, get it quite tight, and then you just push the filter onto this plastic line, and these hose barbs will hold this on there. It doesn't need it's no clamp required for that, and I won't push it all the way on because we're just demonstrating here. Then the other one just screws into the filter. You got to take the plug out. And this is how you change your filter. You should change your filter about once every 6 months in normal use. And so you know this is how you do it. And you can always order a new kit for your filter. And that's how it goes. Say this was your distiller tank. This goes on top of your distiller tank, and your filter lays in here like this, and this goes down in the hole in your tank, and that has a peel and stick cover right there, and that sticks to your tank. So get it adjusted where you want it before you stick it down. And then your distiller fits on top of your tank like such. And that's how the filter sets in as you're putting your distiller together. All your automatics are like this, the 30J and the 46C. They have the automatic water fill. They have an automatic shut-off on a tank. We're going to show you that. Hi, I'm Reed Pettengill. I'm here at the Durastill factory in Kansas City, Missouri today. And you might see this tank here. It is a 25-gallon tank. It's called a 96-liter tank. It's not in a box. It just came off the line. It is just barely welded together. We don't have one boxed up, so I can't show you how to take it apart. But this is what comes with it when you order a 96-liter tank. It's a stand. The first thing you do is put these plastic plugs in the top and push them in. And it makes a nice finish on the top of that stand. The next thing is you put the tank on top of the stand. You just lift it up and you line up the hole with the spout that's in the bottom of the distiller. You can kind of get where you can see it underneath and drop it into that hole, and that holds it into place on that stand. The next thing you do is you take your faucet. Okay, the first thing you do putting the faucet on is you put the rubber seal on the outside, push it clear down on the metal threads. You insert it into this hole right here, and then with the other arm you reach clear down in this tank, and it's a long reach, and you gently and carefully put the nut on the inside of there. Don't strip it, and don't get it cross-threaded. It should turn on very easily. Get it tight so you can tighten it and get it to seat, and pull that rubber washer snug against the tank so you don't have any leaks. You want to get it tight enough it doesn't leak, because if it leaks and it's full of water, you got to drain the water and retighten it. So there you go. That's on there. Next thing you do is you put your distiller on top of this tank. Now you can either put a 30J on top of this tank, which is an automatic 8-gallon-a-day distiller, or you can put a 46C on top of it, which is a 46-liter-a-day, which is 12 gallons a day distiller. 12 gallons a day 25 gallons tank, so in 2 days approximately 46C fills this tank up. Now with an 8 gallon a day, 3 times 8 is 24. So in about 3 days, the 8 gallon a day tank distiller fills this tank. I'm going to place this distiller on top. This is a 46C with legs on it. It's exactly the same size as a 30J. And that's a beautiful setup. What I like about this distiller is you have 5 5-gallon bottles of water in this tank for storage. So if something happens to the municipal water system or anything contaminating your incoming water, you have storage enough. If 2 people are in your house, you have storage for 30 days of water for drinking. A family, maybe even a week, maybe 2 weeks. That's why I like this distiller. That's why I like a 25-gallon tank. It's not one you can move around because 25 gallons of water weighs quite a bit of weight, and most normal people can't move that much. You might ask what this tube is when you find it in your packaging. It's a drain tube for the boiling chamber. You just loosen this compression fitting up and you slide your tube in until you feel it go up in like that, and then you tighten it up. And you just tighten it till it's snug, and then use a wrench to get it just a little bit more so it stays in there, in place. You can feel, and then occasionally, every week or 2, you open up this drain and drain out the boiling chamber, and that cleans out your boiling chamber. You take the bolt and you push it up through the hole, and you tighten up the nut onto this bolt. This is going to secure the lid on the top of this tank. There's one of these for both sides, like that. So then you take your lid and you put your cross member on your lid, and you put your knob on top of that, and you tighten that down till it bottoms out, and then you put your lid onto the tank and you put your wing nuts on top of those bolts that we put through the tank. That's not good. Put these wing nuts on. And you tighten that down to secure the lid. On top of the tank. There you go. You got a sealed tank. They also send this little black plug so you can plug up that hole. Now you know the distiller doesn't plug into the wall. It plugs into the float switch, which is on top of your tank. I've had people plug this into the wall and their distiller leaks, and they wonder why. Well, it never shuts off. And then you plug this into the wall. Here's your float switch, and it turns the water on, the distiller on and off. If the tank's full, it shuts the distiller off. If it goes down a little bit, it turns the distiller back on and makes the water it needs to fill up that tank. This vinyl tube you stick up onto the outlet for the distilled water. That's the end of the coil where the fan is. The fan cools the coil and changes steam back into water. Then you slide your clamp up into place. And tighten that clamp up right there. Now you can, after you have your little steamer tube in this vinyl pipe, vinyl hose, you raise your distiller up and stick it in this hole. Now with your fan switch off, the distiller blows straight steam into the empty tank. With the fan switch on, it makes water. It cools the steam into water. So what we want to do is sterilize this tank, so we will leave the fan switch off, which will cause this tank to heat up the same temperature as boiling water, 212 degrees. Now with the steamer tube in the tank, you want to have it automatically fill, but what you want to do is turn the fan switch off to the off position. And in about 25 minutes, the boiling chamber will be boiling and you'll be pushing steam into this tank. After the tank's brought up to temperature, the thing you do then is you wait 10 minutes and let it cook. After it gets hot, let it stay hot for 10 minutes. That'll kill any bacterium, virus, or parasite that's in that tank. And then you turn on the fan switch, it immediately starts cooling the steam, so everything will start to cool down immediately. You'll start making water. It'll be hot at first, and then it'll cool right down to room temperature. And then you insert the filter. Never put steam through a filter, it ruins it. So after you autoclave your distiller out, you clean your steam clean your tank, your new tank, you put a filter in line. After you've steamed out your tank with steam and it's been sterilized, time to put the post filter in. You put your two 90-degree nylon elbows on there, and you put the vinyl tubing on one side, which is the inside. You can see the arrow flowing that way. And then you line up the filter to one of these holes and slide it off to one side. And I'm going to raise this distiller up. You don't need to do that, but because we're filming it, I'm going to raise it up so you can see what we're doing here. Okay, when you get your filter in place, this vinyl tube, you stick up onto the outlet for the distilled water. That's the end of the coil where the fan is. The fan cools the coil and changes steam back into water. Then you slide your clamp up into place. And tighten that clamp up right there. You don't have to worry about tightening the clamp up on the filter. Under this little bracket right here is a peel and stick tape. You line your distiller up, mark the spot where you want it to be. You reach under there and pull the peel and stick tape off, and then you just stick it down to the top of the distiller right there. You put this little washer on right here on the 90 that keeps a seal on the tank so nothing gets in there. No dirt or insects or anything like that can get in. Now You're making distilled water that's very nice to drink, 99.9% pure water, and this is a great distiller.